V-Week continues on the ACC Network as the Clemson Tigers host the South Carolina State Bulldogs. Alongside Malcolm Huckabee, Jay Alter with you. Malcolm, Clemson has had an extremely strong start to the season, and a big reason why is Amir Sims.
Jay, Amir Sims is not only one of the better players in the ACC, but in all of college basketball. You look at his numbers early on, 14 points a game, shooting 50% from the floor. And in their last game, a win versus Purdue, he had 24 points. He creates a lot of matchup problems for the opposition.
For South Carolina State, the Bulldogs have undergone a rebrand. They call it Run and Fun. It's an up-tempo style of play.
I am ready to get my sneakers on and lace them up for South Carolina State. They want to play fast, and you look at the numbers here. They want to attempt 43s a game. That's going to be key for Clemson, how they're able to defend the three-point line against South Carolina State.
Well, Murray Garvin did not get his players back on campus until mid-September, and he said, you know what, we're got to have some fun with all this COVID going around. We got to at least have a fun style of play in his 7th season, trying to change things up. So a full court press, up-tempo style of offense should be a lot of fun to watch. And Brad Brownell in his 11th season, the all-time winningest coach for a Clemson basketball coach. And this Tigers team is real deep. They have flown out of the gate, beating 2 Power 5 teams already in Mississippi State and Purdue. And now ready to open the season here in Littlejohn Coliseum against South Carolina State. Clemson in white, South Carolina State in red. Our officials today, Bill Covington, Mark Schnurr, and Dwayne Gladden, as we are underway in Clemson. And South Carolina State starts with the ball.
Defending the three-point line, I think we're going to be saying that a lot in this game. Early on against South Carolina State, you must be ready to contest shots on the perimeter.
Rashawn Edwards gets a second opportunity. Can't knock down the three. Amir Sims grabs the rebound, and you will hear a lot of that today as you take a look at the Clemson starting 5 led by the ACC preseason first-teamer Amir Sims.
Well, he can do a little bit of everything.
Count it, plus the foul, hard to the hole. Cashing in, Al-Amir Dawes, the sophomore out of Newark, New Jersey.
Well, he had a solid freshman campaign. That's his beautiful body control. That time, though, finishing with the left. Eyes up on the rim the entire time. And, you know, Jay, this might be Clemson's deepest team since Brad Brownell has been at Clemson. He really can go 10 deep, and certainly that is a luxury when you want to try to play the style they want to play, which is get up, pressure you, and try to force some turnovers.
Jamal Davis, one of 3 freshmen in the starting lineup for South Carolina State, passes off to a senior, Tariq Simmons, who left it begging. John Newman pulls the trigger from deep and connects.
Well, that's a key theme for Clemson as well. Last year as a team, they shot 31% from beyond the arc. Early on, you said it, Jay, they've had some success shooting the ball and then having balance where you get multiple guys in on the action. Great sign early for Clemson.
Another contested shot, this one banked in. Sebastian Guillotin, the sophomore out of Miami, Florida. Look, if you want to take 80 shots in a basketball game and have 40 of them be threes, you're going to have to shoot into some contested shots and make them. Clemson's defense has been relentless to start the season. They forced 22 turnovers against Purdue in a win against the Boilermakers. And it's one thing to get the turnovers, Malcolm, but then cash in on those turnovers. They got 24 points off the turnovers.
Yeah, and that's key. And I think, again, right here, this is another key. Newman getting into the action. You know, he is a versatile defender. I think that's the one area that he needed to improve upon coming into the season. Early on, you can tell that work put in is paying off.
And South Carolina State will pick up full court. They want to play as fast as possible, which is a contrasting style because usually under Brad Brownell, Tigers like to slow it down a little bit. And that up-tempo forces a turnover the other way. And South Carolina State gives it right back on a double dribble.
Well, Jay, the adjustment for all of these teams right now with all the COVID protocols, adjusting to not having full capacity in these arenas, and certainly disruption leading up to this season. No preseason games, so it's been an adjustment period all around for these teams.
The freshman Olivier Maxence Prosper, they call him Omax, getting in on the act, making his first career start in a Clemson uniform today.
Another three by South Carolina State, and early on Clemson's doing a nice job contesting. You know they're going to shoot them, you just don't want them to be uncontested threes.
Foul called against Tariq Simmons. We saw Newman already make a three in the assist here.
And that's something Brad Brownell talked about, which is South Carolina State's going to be very aggressive in the passing lanes. We have to do a good job taking care of the ball, and I think a good way to negate a team that's pressuring you, get some backdoor cuts. That time, nice execution by Clemson.
So South Carolina State head coach Murray Garvin told us they're going to shoot 40 threes, or at least try. That's 1 3 a minute. Right now they're on pace. The problem is they're 0 for 3. Rashawn Edwards trying to change that, can't do it. Offensive rebound to Guillotin, fading away, comes up with nothing but air. Somehow kept alive. Guillotin left it short again. How about a third time? And it finally does drop for the sophomore. He has all 4 for the Bulldogs today.
Great work on the offensive glass by South Carolina State. That's just effort.
Amir Sims on a rack attack. Big finish for the senior.
Wow. I talked about it at the top. Not only one of the better players in the ACC, but all of college basketball. Jay, he's going to be a guy that plays for a paycheck when he leaves Clemson. He is that good.
Take another look at this. ACC preseason first teamer for a reason. A freight train that has left the station. Oh, you love that. And Clemson's up big to start. Hey, we might be breaking an attendance record this year in 2020. Capacity at Littlejohn Coliseum, they are allowing some fans. It's allowing 1,876, so a little more than 1,800 fans were allowed to come into Littlejohn Coliseum. This is after they went to the state of South Carolina. The governor had to approve a seating plan. If it's marked in a tiger paw, you're allowed to sit there. All the other seats are zip-tied. And last we talked to Clemson officials, they were telling us they expected about 1,500 fans to be here for the opener, which is, obviously way lower than we're accustomed to in college basketball. But Malcolm, based off what we've seen around the country, this might be the largest attended game definitely right now that I've heard of.
Yeah, this feels like a sellout compared to what we've seen. We've called Virginia the other night, North Carolina, and Syracuse the Dome. And, certainly, again, I've talked about that for all of these teams. Obviously, you lose that home court advantage, having the crowd energy to feed off of. But you're right. This is the most we've seen thus far early on in this college basketball season.
And obviously, everything is by the book. They're taking into every social distance accordance that they need to. And really, they took the same template that they did with the football season, where they're allowing 19,000 fans. And they said, let's just do the exact same thing and apply it to basketball. South Carolina State, they've hit the offensive glass early. That's already 3 offensive rebounds, and they cash in with Latavian Lawrence to pull back within 4.
And that's the story of the game early right now. They have Clemson spread out with their spacing, and although they're missing shots from the perimeter, they're doing a nice job, as you said, on the offensive glass. That's really been a key for them offensively early.
To the corner, and Hemingway drills it. Alex Hemingway off the bench, and the sophomore onto the score sheet.
And that's what he does. He showed some flashes last year in limited minutes, but he's had some games last season where he was showing the ability to spread the defense out and do exactly that, knock down perimeter jumpers.
4th turnover already caused by the Clemson defense.
And this is all set up, Jay, because they've had good spacing on the offensive end. They've been able now to get in on the offensive glass and get some buckets. That's something that Clemson's going to have to do a better job cleaning up the defensive glass.
Clemson trying to come out with the loose ball, and they force a shot clock violation instead. Now they'll take the turnover any which way it comes.
Well, this is the other area that Clemson needs to do a good job of. South Carolina State does a nice job with their full court pressure, and they're going to try to shoot the gaps on any passes to the wing.
John Newman on the drive, takes it baseline and gives it away. Bulldogs can run with it. This is Nick Honor, the transfer from Fordham, taking it up the court. He's number 4 in white. He started shooting really well from 3, 40% from deep. He was big in the wins against Mississippi State and Purdue over the Hunter Tyson, who buries the triple.
Well, that's a great little pin down brush screen by Amir Sims. And oftentimes we talk about the final result, an open 3, but how we got there. And I think that's great ball movement and then screening by Clemson on that offensive possession. Again, this is just excellent motion. Look at this nice screen. And then Amir Sims, again, nice little brush screen. And because he draws so much attention, Jay, as he's going to be in every scouting report, that frees other guys up to get some open looks. That's just excellent execution offensively by Clemson.
And the Tigers on a 6-0 run. And already very early in this first half, 6 different scorers for Clemson. Depth is the key to this team. Nick Honor trying to make it 7. That one clangs off.
That's a nice rebound by Lawrence for South Carolina State.
Another contested 3, and it misses. Inside, and this one drops for Nick Honor, the Fordham transfer who's provided such a boost offensively. And then you see that's exactly what South Carolina State wants to do, up-tempo and a quick bucket in transition.
Don't blink, don't celebrate. They are going to play fast, make or miss.
And drawing a charge on the other end, so the Bulldogs trailing by 10, but a new brand of basketball, run and fun on both ends of the floor as they're hanging tough against the ACC foe. Two great games for you Friday on the ACC Network. First, it's UNC Greensboro against Louisville, starting at 2 Eastern time, and then you got Virginia and Kent State in Charlottesville. So 2 great games Friday. Keep it right here on the ACC network. We were speaking with head coach of South Carolina State, Murray Garvin, and he was telling us that COVID causes all sorts of problems. Every team in the country is dealing with it, and he said his wife, it's killing her, Latanza, that she can't travel with him, be on the road, root on the team in a great arena like Clemson. And so everybody's dealing with the adjustments, but coaches' wives included, I guess.
Well, he made it a very good point. He said, look, make sure you give her a little shout out. Obviously, that is just so important to all these teams. Everybody's making sacrifices, and certainly it has been an adjustment for all these coaching staffs and these young men out here playing.
It was great. We got to speak with Garvin earlier today, and he told us that he was not able to get his players to campus until mid-September. And when you deal with that and then have to play 2 months later, they've got 10 new guys too. It's not like they return a lot of guys. 10 of the 16 from last year's team are new. And you only have 2 months to prepare for a season.
And I really, though, like his outlook on it. He's such a positive person, so fun to talk with. And he's like, look, we're just fortunate and blessed just to be playing games. As we take a look at Clemson, though, right now, executing against that full court pressure. That's a beautiful find and finish for Tyson.
Yeah, Hunter Tyson's come off the bench and provided some great minutes. Timeout called by Murray Garvin. So let's dig into that. On March 10th, you get a MEAC tournament game against Howard. The season ends for South Carolina State, and they don't return to campus until September 17th, and then you're playing 2 months later. And again, 10 new players on this year's team. So it's been a handful for Murray Garvin and this Bulldogs coaching staff.
Yeah, it really has. And, he's also had some disruptions with guys having to do some quarantining during that time as well, too. So, again, it's just really, his outlook really, I think, is the only thing you can do. He said, look, we're just fortunate that we're playing some games now. We're using this as kind of our preseason. And then once we get into conference play, we're hoping that these guys are ready and they'll be battle tested.
Ten seconds to shoot. Clemson continues to swarm defensively. Come up with a turnover. It's a run out and an easy lay-in for Alamir Dawes.
Well, I continue to be impressed with Clemson's defense. You referenced that, Jay, in their win versus Purdue. They forced 22 turnovers and converted at 24 points off of turnovers. And that goes to, I think, the depth that Brad Brownell has this year with this Clemson squad. He can run 10 guys at you, and I don't think fatigue is going to be an issue playing that style.
One real bright spot, Sebastian Guillotin. He has 6 of the Bulldogs' 12 in this first half. Great feed inside, and Hunter Tyson fouled as he flew to the rim.
Well, Clemson early on is getting a lot of offense like they did versus Purdue off of their defense. That's just great help D. Alamir Dawes with the finish in. When you can generate offense because of your defense to go along with, Clemson has been shooting the ball better. I think they're going to be one of those dangerous teams in the ACC to go along with having, in my opinion, one of the better players in college basketball, and Amir Sims.
Yeah, that was a big talking point with Brad Brownell, Clemson head coach, is, yeah, we have the superstar, the future pro in Amir Sims, but we also have the most depth that this program has seen, and it's actually caused some problems for him because he's got to figure out how to manage all these minutes.
And I think any coach would rather have 10, and you got to figure out, okay, I got really 10 good players, trying to find time for them. I think playing this pace, I think, is going to allow him to get more bodies in You can tell they are picking up the pressure, and it's bothering teams early on.
And one of those players is P.J. Hall, the talented freshman who we should mention you won't see tonight. He's in the concussion protocol after picking up a knock in practice. And with Hall, he comes in, ESPN top 60 recruit. He anchors the best recruiting class under Brad Brownell. He's had a strong start to the season, but just in the concussion protocol, hopefully not too serious, and he'll be back for the Big Ten ACC Challenge game next week against Maryland.
Yeah, Clemson's really done a nice job keeping some key players in this state right here in their backyard, and to go along with the talented core that he had already. So, certainly that's what you want to have that mix of some talented young players to go along with some veterans.
And another turnover for South Carolina State. And there is P.J. Hall. He's good enough to come out and support his teammates. And this was a big get to keep the #1 player in the state of South Carolina in state here at home in Clemson. And Brad Brownell told us hopefully it takes this recruiting going forward to another level.
Yeah, anytime you can keep player of the year in the state right here in your backyard, that certainly is a big time get for Brad Brownell and his staff.
Nice job by Chase Hunter to stay with it, but he's rejected at the rim again. Sean Edwards was calling for it, lays it off, and an easy two. Sebastian Guillotin now up to 8 points for the Bulldogs.
And he's done it in a variety of ways. Little jump hooks, that time nice little head fake off a nice post entry pass. He has been tough for them early on in this first half. Well, I like the adjustment South Carolina State. Again, they're not just settling for threes. That time, nice little post-entry pass. Little up fake and finish. I think they're going to have to do more of that to get back into this game, try to cut it to single digits before half.
Bulldogs continue to push up tempo and cash in. Jamal Davis, the freshman, knocks that down. And they pull within 10. Clemson trying to get some separation, but South Carolina State won't go away. Saturday, it's a terrific triple header right here on the ACC Network. It kicks off with North Carolina at noon, and then Georgia Tech, North Carolina State to follow. The nightcap, number 10 Miami taking on Duke. Here in Littlejohn Coliseum, we've got a couple of fans, a handful of them allowed here at Clemson, and two of their biggest supporters, Franklin and Paula Grooms. A unique relationship, how their fandom started, and we can't wait to tell you about it at halftime. So a little teaser for you as we are back underway in this first half. Malcolm Huckabee, Jay Alter with you. Tigers out to a 10-point lead. What do you like about Clemson right now, Malcolm?
Well, I think their three-point shooting. They're shooting 42% from the three-point line early on in this game. I think that was a question mark coming into this season. Last year, they shot 31 as a team, and right on cue, they continue to shoot the ball well to go along with this deep roster. That is a pleasant sign if you are a Clemson fan, them knocking down perimeter jumpers.
9 different players have scored for Clemson. This is a deep team, the deepest Brad Brownell has had in his 11 years. And you are seeing that with 9 players making up that 29 points. So 14 of the 29 have come off the bench.
And one of the things that Brad Brownell was very pleased with is how they shared the ball. We go back to that Clemson game. It was a balanced performance. We talked about the points off of turnovers, but I think defensively, they are going to be a very difficult team. As we take a look at the steal and finish, Clyde Trapp, that knee is looking healthy, and that's a beautiful defensive possession finished off with the jam.
tore his ACL last offseason, came back way sooner than expected in time for conference play a year ago. But Brad Brownell says not playing with the brace, playing freely, playing like the Clyde Trap that we are accustomed to before that ACL tear. He hits a three in the corner and then causes the steal and hammers it home. Take another look at this.
Well, off an ACL tear. That knee is looking pretty healthy. Clyde Trap with the finish. And he is such an explosive player. It's great to see him back healthy. We spoke with Brad Brownell. He said, look, he's still not 100%. He said, I put him at about 95%. But still, that's better than what he was immediately after the injury. And again, certainly adding to that deep backcourt that Brad Brownell has.
Lawrence on the drive, pull up, pop too much on it. Here's Amir Sims, first team ACC preseason. The extra pass, Alamir Dawes open three, can't connect. Interesting there, Sebastian Guillotin, no one was around him, but just kind of fell under his own 2 feet, couldn't come up with the rebound. And this will be Clemson ball.
Well, although Clemson did not get the three-pointer, I don't think you can play any better than Clemson has right now in terms of offensive flow. Everybody is being unselfish with the ball. They're getting high percentage shots, and right now, offensively, it has been impressive to watch them operate.
Great hands by Latavian Lawrence, the freshman, to poke it away from Prosper. Tomorrow night on ACC Network, ACC women's basketball as Notre Dame looks for their first win of the season against 2-0 Michigan. A team ranked 24th in the nation. Should be a great one. 6 Eastern tomorrow right here on the ACC Network. Wide open three for the Bulldogs. They haven't gotten many good looks. You need to knock them down, Malcolm.
Yeah, and a lot of that, you can credit to Clemson. They've done a nice job contesting threes. And like you said, really not too much in the sense of open looks for South Carolina State.
And Amir Sims, great low post move to cash in on the block. And a charge the other way. He is everywhere.
Well, he starts off offensively. Look at this seal. 2 feet inside the paint. They have no shot of stopping Amir Sims. And right here, showing it on the defensive end. That is just a great transition from offense to defense by a guy that is going to contend for Player of the Year in the ACC.
And Sims gives it right back for an off-ball foul. So South Carolina State said they wanted to take 43s with their run-and-fun offense. They've attempted 7 of them, and they have not made any. And they got 10 turnovers in the process as well. Blocked from behind. South Carolina State keeps it alive. Shot clock does not reset. Fading away, Jamal Davis comes up empty.
Well, wow, this Clemson defense has been tough you can see how and why they force so many turnovers against Purdue. They're very active in the passing lanes. I think, though, the help side defense really is what has been impressive in this game early on. They recover well anytime they do get beat.
Open three. Hunter Tyson knocks it down. He's up to 10 points, and the junior has been a spark off the bench.
Well, 32% from beyond the arc last season, and that's a beautiful set play, little pin down, and drew nothing but net.
A 10-0 run snapped as South Carolina State gets the offensive rebound. They've had 6 offensive rebounds. The problem is they've only turned it into 6 points.
All right, here again, one of the few looks that they've gotten in this first half. A little up and under, but you're right, Jay. They've really struggled shooting the ball from beyond the arc. They've taken 7, and as you said, they've made none. I think on the other end, credit Clemson offensively, though. They've been very patient, and then it's been balanced. Everybody getting in on the action offensively for Clemson.
Thrown away. South Carolina State wants to play in transition. Typically they look for a 3. Davis thought about it. Decides to take it on the drive off his knee, and that's the type of day it's been for the Bulldogs. 11 turnovers, and Clemson doubling them up, 36-18. Brad Brownell's team doubling up South Carolina State, 36-18 lead for Clemson. The three-point shooting has been the difference. Clemson 5 of 10. The Bulldogs, who told us that's the strength of this team, Murray Garvin did this morning instead, 0 for 7 from deep.
And I think they may have to rethink that game plan. Again, that's how they want to play, but they've had some success when they've driven the ball to the hole, obviously on the offensive glass. But right now, Clemson is denying everything, and they're getting a hand up on all three-point shots by South Carolina State.
Hunter Tyson picked up his dribble. He leads all scorers with 10. He's part of a bench brigade that has scored 17 points off the bench for Clemson.
A few possessions, Brad Brownell not happy. They've been careless with the ball. Again, that's really an unforced turnover, and that's something he talked to us about this morning after their shoot-around. And he said, look, we have to do a good job taking care of the ball versus South Carolina State, because they are going to continue to pressure the whole game.
And Clemson gets the ball right back. It's the best thing ESPN does all year, V Week. And you can join the fight against cancer at v.org/donate. All donations benefiting the V Foundation for Cancer Research. Risky pass, but it pays off. Although Nick Honor lost the handle, and South Carolina State gets it right back. So some sloppy play on both sides in the last couple of minutes. That's now 11 turnovers for Clemson in this first half. Very uncharacteristic.
Well, the good news for them is that South Carolina State really has not been able to capitalize, in particular from the three-point line, off of those turnovers. But you're right, certainly they need to do a better job tightening up on the offensive side when it comes to turnovers.
Great feed inside. Double team comes in on Lynn Kidd, and he's called for a travel. Freshman from IMG Academy, 6'10" with the hair, 7 foot. And a charge. Both defenses winning out right now, Malcolm, no doubt about it.
But I like this play by South Carolina State. Again, you got to come to a jump stop. It's the right decision. You have a player running out at you, but you just have to do a better job in that situation to come to a jump stop and then shoot a little jump stop jumper right at the baseline there.
Sebastian Guillotin checks back in. He's shooting 4 of 6 right now for South Carolina State. Outside of him, they have been lost 5 of 21. Open 3. John Newman can't cash in. Offensive rebound. The freshman Lynn Kidd kicks it back out. Here's Nick Honor. He leaves it short. Both offenses have fallen really flat at the end of this first half.
Well, if you're Clemson, you do not want to fall in love with the three-point shot. Obviously, if it's off of dribble drive kick to an open one, that's fine.
Rattles in and out for Hemingway, doesn't fall. Neither team has scored in the last 3 minutes. For Clemson, it's 3:02.
Well, both teams in double digits for turnovers. South Carolina State has 13, Clemson 12. But neither team really able to capitalize big time off of those turnovers.
Seven seconds to shoot. Here's Rashawn Edwards on the drive. Takes it right to the rim. Does not drop. It'll stay South Carolina State ball, though, with under a minute left of the first half. South Carolina State has only had one made field goal since the 8:02 mark of this first half. The good news for him is Clemson's offense hasn't been much better. The Tigers haven't scored in the last 4 minutes. Pull-up jumper. Dawes can't connect. Offensive rebound. Another shot. Nick Honor thought about it, but pulls it out. Five seconds separating the shot clock from the game clock. Honor on the drive. Great crossover. Everything but the bucket. Edwards, a heave at the end of the first half, and that clangs off. So neither team scores in the final 4 minutes and 28 seconds of the first half. And it's Clemson doubling up the Bulldogs 36-18 at the break. Well, rest assured, Mark Packer and Wes Durham were not the two Clemson fans that we promised we'd show you at halftime. Don't worry, Franklin and Paula Groom's story still to come in this second half. Malcolm Huckabee, Jay Alter with you as we welcome you back to Littlejohn Coliseum. And Malcolm, the big positive for Clemson in this first half, 9 different scorers, and one of them obviously the ACC preseason first-teamer Amir Sims.
Bringing the hammer with the slam, showing off the hops. I think this is an underrated area of his game, setting screens. That's a beautiful little pin down brush screen, and then the post up in the paint that time, sealing, and then defensively he is a complete player, one of the better players in all of college. And he makes it so much easier, Jay, for other guys to flow offensively. He is so important to what Clemson does on both ends.
And it's really the defense that has spurred this Clemson team on. They shut out South Carolina State in the final 4 minutes of the first half. It'll be Bulldogs basketball and their maroon away uniforms as we are back underway. What can South Carolina State try and do and counter punch this tenacious Clemson defense.
Well, I think trying to get some things going to the basket. Obviously, though, they have to cut down on the turnovers. Both teams really struggled in that area. But I think for South Carolina State, don't settle for contested threes. Try to drive the ball to the hole.
Amir Sims cashes in. Easy layup. Now, you mentioned the turnovers, Malcolm. Coming into this game, these two teams averaged 28 combined turnovers for an entire game. We already have 26, and we're less than 21 minutes into the game.
Yeah, and I think majority of those were really that last 8 to 5 minutes of play. It got sloppy to close out the first half for both teams.
Contested fadeaway, and it goes in for Rashawn Edwards. Head coach Murray Garvin told us we're going to need to make contested shots, and they do just that.
That's a tough, I wouldn't even call it a floater, really off 1 foot right there, a little step back. That is a tough shot. Not bad D, that's just better offense. And they're going to continue to pressure. This is something Brad Brownell talked about. They planned for. They are going to continue to pick up full, do some running and jumps, try to get the game going up and down and create some turnovers.
Flying to the rim, can't finish though. Hunter Tyson's second effort, and he's fouled. And it all started from Amir Sims, who broke the press and found a streaking Tyson.
He almost put somebody on a poster. Hunter Tyson showing off the hops that time. That's a nice job by Clemson, breaking the pressure, throwing out of the double team, and then trying to take advantage on the other end. Hunter Tyson last season played in all 31 games. 3 starts, averaged 5 points per game, and you know Brad Brownell and staff are expecting more out of him this year, and you know certainly in this game really producing for Clemson at 11 points right now in the game for Hunter Tyson.
10 on the timer, Rashawn Edwards. Kick to the corner, Simmons, wide open 3. At South Carolina State still searching for that first made 3-pointer of the game.
Well, let's reset back to the open. The goal for South Carolina State is to take 40 3-point shot attempts. They want to get 80 field goal attempts and score 90 points per game. So obviously they want to play at a fast pace and shoot a lot of threes.
Now they've only taken 9 threes, and they've come up empty on all of them, just shooting 2 of their last 14. Much needed bucket there from Rashawn Edwards, and he delivers.
And that's twice now. He showed off a really nice mid-range game.
This time, Hunter Tyson rocks the rim. An identical play from the last time down the court. But this time, Tyson hammers it home. An equally good pass on the other end, and Jamal Davis connects. Going back to the Clemson play, though, the Tigers' secret weapon to break this press has been Amir Sims, Malcolm.
Yeah, and that's why he is such a tough matchup and one of the better players in college because of his versatility. He's a guy that can go inside, outside, and Brad Brownell said it. Sometimes we'll use him as the point guard. That is really a versatile player. He can pretty much do it all on the court for Clemson.
Bulldogs in trouble here. 3 seconds to shoot. Have to hurry. Simmons hoists it up, but it was after the buzzer. He made the three. Would have been the first made three of the day, but it was after the shot clock.
Well, Hunter Tyson showing off the hops. Beautiful job by Clemson breaking the pressure. And Tyson throwing it down with authority. That's beautiful fast break offense by Clemson. And that's something they're going to have to continue to do because South Carolina State is not going to stop pressing.
Hunter Tyson leading all scorers with 13. Wide open three. Nick Honor, he'll make you pay.
Brad Brownell and staff rave about his work ethic. He said, look, he's 300 makes a day. He is the first guy in the gym, last one to leave. And what an addition he is to this Clemson lineup. He can just flat out score and shoot the ball.
They were happy. They were hoping that he would be immediately eligible a year ago after he transferred in from Fordham, but had to sit in that redshirt year. And actually ended up being really beneficial for the Orlando native. Said he saw the game in a different way and has come in after that year off and really improved his game. Averaging now 12.5 points a game, shooting better than 40% from three on the season.
And I think the other thing, Jay, he adds is another guy that can pressure the ball. And you talk about the turnovers they created in that game versus Purdue, where they were able to get 24 points off of 22 turnovers. He adds to the defensive pressure and obviously the depth that Brad Brownell can add to his backcourt.
Amir Sims adds another 2 points in perfect position for that follow finish. He's up to 8. The Clemson's really turned it on defensively too. Everything coming up Tigers, a 48-26 lead in the second half. We welcome you back to Clemson. Want to have some fun with South Carolina State. Some notable alumni. You take a look at the three, take a look, take a guess on your couch. You might know the bottom one of the best linebackers in the league right now, drafted in 2018 in the second round. That is Darius Leonard at the bottom. But the top two, you got a Hall of Famer in Deacon Jones and the current House Majority Whip, James Clyburn.
And what a alumni list that is right there. Deacon Jones, simply one of the best. In the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He was one of the best defensive players ever. And then obviously I call him Mr. Clyburn, one of the most important figures in the political scene today. And you said it, Darius Leonard, one of the best defensive players in the NFL right now. And he was a two-time MEAC Defensive Player of the Year and led the league, led the NFL his rookie season in tackles. So that's a pretty impressive list.
The pride that Murray Garvin took when we were talking about the alumni, both the famous alums on the football field and obviously in the political scene, but his own basketball players that he's had the pleasure of coaching and graduating in the last 7 years. And big point that he made to us was you've got to coach the whole person, not just the basketball player.
Yeah, and you know, both these guys talked extensively about that. Enjoyed speaking with both of these coaches. And, you know, to your point, when we spoke with Coach Garvin about that, he said, look, you know, it's not, as you said, just about the basketball piece. It's about teaching these young men about life afterwards. And, you know, both these programs and coaches do a great job preparing these guys for life after basketball.
Friday, 2 great college basketball games for you right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. Louisville gets things started at 2 Eastern time, and then 15th ranked Virginia taking on Kent State at 6. How good did Virginia look yesterday, Malcolm? We saw the Cavaliers bounce back in a big way after their loss to San Francisco.
Held in the team to 13 points in the first half. I'd say Virginia defense is back, and certainly they're a team as this season progresses. That's going to be who they are. That's their identity. They're one of the best teams in college basketball, period, and they've proven it over the last 4 years. Right here, though, Clemson showing off the defense. I've been impressed, Jay, with how they've defended. Going back to their win versus Purdue, that has really been a key for them. Their defense, in particular, their ability to force turnovers and then capitalize to go along with improved three-point shooting as a team. That's been a pleasant surprise for Brad Brownell and staff.
We mentioned how well Virginia has played at #1, but Malcolm, you think Clemson in the preseason at number 10 could be a sleeper in the ACC, and they could finish a lot higher than 10th?
Oh, absolutely. As we take a look at their continued offensive flow, excellent spacing, everybody getting involved. Absolutely, Jay. You look at them, and also I believe Georgia Tech's another team when it's all said and done that could prove some folks wrong. But Clemson right now, to me, they have so much depth, balance, and I've said it already. When you have Amir Sims, a guy that's going to contend for Player of the Year in the ACC, he creates so many matchup problems because of his versatility. Put a smaller guy on him, post him. You put a bigger guy on him, take him out on the perimeter. And the thing I like about him, Jay, and how Clemson is playing, they're playing unselfish. And you've seen that where 9 different players have scored in this game.
And 9 different players. Now the Tigers on an 8-0 run. You take a look at the ACC preseason poll. We got started talking about Virginia. It's only the second time in the 52-year history that they were picked #1. And you just get the feeling with COVID, the lack of fans, that when it gets to ACC play, nobody is going to know who's 1, who's 10. It's really going to be wide open, and certainly the depth of the conference this year is a huge talking point.
Jay, my second college game was at Cameron Indoor, Duke. I can tell you right now, it was the loudest place that I have played in. We called the game up at the Dome. I played against them for 4 years. It's one of the best atmospheres in college basketball, where you have over 30,000 people screaming and yelling. So I think that's a factor where, we're going to go pretty much, I think, a whole season without any fans in the stands. I think that's a huge disadvantage for some of these programs that play off of that energy. And coaches may say, hey, look, there's no asterisk next to that win versus Duke at Duke. Well, I don't necessarily buy that. That is a huge home court advantage for them to play off the energy of that crowd.
Even here at Littlejohn Coliseum, this is a place that has been a house of horrors for a lot of ACC teams because of the fans. This place gets really loud. You remember the games last year against Duke, and the crowd certainly played a factor in that victory. And there are some fans allowed. Again, if you missed it in the first half, Clemson decided to put a proposal to the governor of South Carolina to just allow a small number of fans, no more than 1,800 right now. And they're all socially distanced. It's a very big stadium, so better than nobody, which is what a lot of programs have decided across the country, to just go with a strict ban on all fans. Because I think it's tough to, how do you differentiate, oh, these fans can come, but these can't? It gets tough.
Yeah, it really does. So certainly, again, all these great arenas, and you're absolutely right. Littlejohn, one of my favorite stops along this college basketball tour. Certainly just has a different feel, and I think it's going to be an adjustment period for coaches, players, and even us announcers, where just the game has a different feel, and I think we're still in the process of kind of feeling it out.
Alamir Dawes lines up a 3, can't connect.
Jay, right now for South Carolina State, they still have yet to hit a 3-point field goal, 0 for 9 in the game. And I think the big thing for them, try to get some backdoor cuts, but the turnovers really have plagued them.
And Clemson has capitalized. It's a 54-28 lead for the Tigers. Start your Saturday morning with The Huddle right here on ACC Network. They'll preview a great slate of games and keep you updated on all things ACC football. It starts 10 a.m. Eastern right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. Malcolm Huckabee, Jay Alter with you. Clemson, a strong start to the Tigers season. They opened the season with wins against 2 Power 5 programs in Mississippi State and Purdue, and then come here for the home opener, and they've looked good from tip-off, Malcolm.
Points off a turnover, 16, 41% from the three-point line, balance attack. You referenced it, 9 players have scored in this game, unselfish playing, and again, Brad Brownell has a deep roster, a talented roster, and right now they are creating a lot of offense, Jay, with their defense.
And 23 bench points as well. And you mentioned the depth of Brad Brownell's team this year. But to get that many points off the bench, one of those, Alex Hemingway, sends one off the mark. Eventually, he'll have to cut the rotation down, but Clemson can go as deep as 12. And that's a good problem to have.
And I think the way they're playing, guys are going to get minutes. They're pressuring the ball, so certainly the more that you're picking up full like that, guys are going to need rest throughout the game. So certainly that's a good problem to have, where you're trying to figure out which one of these guys are going to get more minutes.
And the depth can allow you to play that style, right, Malcolm? It's almost like a hockey shift. You know, hey, I'm going to go hard for 2 to 3 minutes because I know I'm headed back to the bench soon.
Absolutely. And I think the added three-point shooting, I think that's the key for them to go along. Look, they've been sound defensively. That's a staple of Brad Brownell. But I think the offensive numbers, if they can stay consistent shooting the ball from the perimeter, they are going to be a very tough out in the ACC.
This is the first foul shot South Carolina State has attempted all game, and it comes 30 minutes into it.
Well, Edwards has been, in my mind, a bright spot for South Carolina State. He's made some nice mid-range jumpers. Offensively, he's been able also to get into the paint. Defensively, he's been sound.
Here's Amir Sims going baseline, muscling his way to the rim, can't finish. And the Bulldogs shot 7 threes in the first 8 minutes. Since then, they've only attempted 3, including that one. The one thing all 10 threes have in common is they've all missed. This is a team that told us they wanted to try and get 40 threes in the game. Great effort inside. Olivier Maxence Prosper count the bucket and the foul.
Well, Prosper has given Clemson some really nice minutes. His work on the offensive glass, that's just great hustle, good hands, and finish. But it all starts with their defense. That previous play, Jay, defensively for Clemson, that might have been their best in the game. Cut down all dribble angles, contested the 3, and then they finished the play off with beautiful boxing out and cleaned up the defensive glass.
Jamal Davis can't connect. Another offensive rebound. That's another bright spot for South Carolina State. They have 12 offensive rebounds in this game. The problem is they haven't cashed in on those offensive rebounds.
Yeah, and this has been a problem area. If there's one thing you can pick on Clemson about is rebounding. In a win versus Purdue, they were minus 13 in the rebounding department versus Purdue. And typically when you're that lopsided, double digits, you're going to lose a game. They were able to beat Purdue by 11. 81-70, but again, that's an area though as they get into ACC play, they're gonna have to tighten that up, because you're right, Jay, South Carolina State right now has been very active on the offensive glass.
This is Chase Hunter, kick to Clyde Trapp. Haven't mentioned those two names a lot. Hunter step back and he's fouled. And that's the thing, Clyde Trapp is a terrific player for Clemson. Just hasn't seen that much time on the court because of the 12 guys Brad Brownell is rotating in. Only 14 minutes played so far for the senior tonight.
He is so important, though, I think, for Clemson. It's Brad Brownell talked about the health of his knee. He's really still not 100% recovered from the ACL suffered in 2019. And he said he's around 95%, but I think that is part of the luxury, Jay, of him having a deep roster, in particular with the addition of Nick Honor, able to get him to minutes and allow him to work himself back into.
Brad Brownell told us the word of the year is sacrifice, both in your personal lives to even get the opportunity to play basketball and also on the court. Have to sacrifice, be humble, play less minutes for the growth and the betterment of the team, particularly early in the season. And that's exactly how this Clemson program is bought in, and very unselfish group of guys. Unselfish pass there led to a three, no good, but there to clean it all up, the freshman Lynn Kidd. And a timeout taken by Murray Garvin. Tenth player to score for Clemson. Talk about the depth. They're all getting on the score sheet, and the Tigers are rolling. Clemson leading by 28, and Malcolm Huckabee, they've been getting it done on defense.
It all starts with their defense. Look at this defensive possession right here. Cutting down dribble drives right here, not allowing dribble penetration. Great recovery, another great recovery, and then I think their ball screen coverage has been on point to finish it off. They contested every shot, and defensive glass that time on that possession, they were able to come up with the defensive rebound.
South Carolina State has not scored a field goal in the last 4 minutes and 22 seconds. Add another turnover. That's now 20 for the Bulldogs.
And when we spoke with Coach Garvin about this, look, you referenced the time away that they've had, the very few practice sessions that he's been able to have with really basically a new team, 10 new faces for him. It's showing early on in this game, but I don't want to take anything away from Clemson's D. They have really done a phenomenal job contesting shots and then keeping the ball out of the paint.
Well, Murray Garvin told us they wanted to run and fun, up-tempo, Houston Rockets style, he said, and Clemson has just taken them completely out of that this afternoon. Getting it done on the offensive side, too. Great drive. And Clyde Trapp draws the foul.
Well, when he is at 100% Clyde Trapp, he's one of the better guards in the ACC. That's going to be, though, the key question mark, how fast he can get back to 100%.
Tomorrow, Thursday night, great matchup on the ACC network. You got Michigan and Notre Dame. ACC women's basketball back and better than ever. Neil Ivey looking for her first victory since taking over for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish women's basketball program. See, that's the style of play South Carolina State wants, but not the result. Quick three. Just can't knock it down. Now 0 for 11 from 3. And on the other end, Clemson an open triple.
And that's one of the few times Clemson's done a poor job in transition defense. But really throughout this game, that has been on point. And one of the keys, speaking with Brad Brownell, is transition D. We knew defending the three-point line and then having excellent transition D against this South Carolina State team.
Great take. Chase Hunter wiggles his way in and puts it up and in.
Right here, nice little ball screen, help not there, and this is a tough floater. I mean, that's a little floater from the foul line that Chase Hunter made it look easy. And you know, he's another guy, Jay, had to sit out last year with a foot injury. So, you know, the health of this team now, Brad Brownell feels like he's got a full roster, and you know, certainly that depth is going to be key to this season for Clemson.
Inside the Lynn kid, he can't come up with the make. 10 different scorers for Brad Brownell's team today. 28 bench points, so the bench almost alone has scored as many as South Carolina State tonight. Another great take from Omax Prosper. They're really high on this freshman out of Canada. Grew up in Montreal, played last year in the NBA Academy down in Mexico City. And he's part of a really talented recruiting class that Brad Brownell's staff have brought in this year.
Man, they think, you know, he could potentially turn into the type of player that Amir Sims is. He's around 6'8". You know, good size. He's a guy that's going to continue to get stronger as he progresses in his college career. But he's very versatile, as you saw in that last play. You know, that's a 6'8" guy that can put the ball down on the floor. So he's a guy that, as he progresses, could potentially create some matchup problems, you know, in the ACC with that size and length.
You mentioned Amir Sims. Brad Brownell told us that these freshmen came in so highly touted. It's the best recruiting class that they've brought in under Brownell at Clemson. And Amir Sims immediately, he was the senior. He was giving it to him in practice, didn't care about the 4 stars that they were coming in with. And he said he actually really liked that Sims is taking on the leadership role. Yes, he brought a lot of talent to the court, but with leadership specifically, he's really worked on that in the offseason, and it showed.
Well, that's, you know, it's bringing back some nightmares for me. I remember coming in as a freshman in my second college game down at Duke, and I'm guarding Grant Hill. Now, I played for a top 25 team in high school, Howard Isley. My backcourt mate played for the #1 team in the country, and it was humbling. You know, as a freshman, you come in and you got to get a little bit stronger. And, you know, Brad Brownell talked about, you know, that's part of the growth process for these guys, and he likes it because, you know, look, you're playing against every day in practice one of the better players, not just in the ACC, but in the country. You're going to get better. It's going to toughen you up and get you ready for ACC conference play. It's a great balance to have if you're Brad Brownell.
One of those freshmen, P.J. Hall, out today in the concussion protocol. But once Prosper and Hall and Lynn Kidd come together, again, this is a recruiting class that was ranked in the top 20 in the nation. Could be bode really well for Clemson going forward. Hands off to Prosper again, and he rocks the rim. Olivier Maxence Prosper showing off in his first career start. He's been terrific tonight.
They call him Omax. Remember that name. He has been impressive, Jay, showing off the hops. He's got the ability to put the ball down on the floor. He's got very long arms. He is going to be a very good player for Clemson.
And now getting it done on the defensive end. The freshman Prosper showing off that high motor and forcing the shot clock violation. 11 points for Prosper in this second half. He is getting it done. Rocking the rim in his Tigers debut and his Clemson team up big. You've probably heard us mention the word depth today, and Brad Brownell's team has a lot of it. You look at the Clemson roster breakdown. 10 players have scored today, Malcolm, spanning all 4 classes.
And I think this is a great mix. If you're a coach, this is the type of mix you want. You have some talented young players coming in, but the veterans, I think when you have an Amir Sims, you have a Clyde Trapp, to sprinkle in a very good transfer in Nick Honor, that is what makes the practices more competitive. And I think when you get in tight games, you can lean on your seniors and bring those freshmen along. It really, you could not ask for a better situation if you're Clemson.
Already with wins against Mississippi State and Purdue to start the season down in Florida. They come home in the home opener here in Littlejohn Coliseum and taking care of business against South Carolina State. And the defense has really been the most impressive part. The Bulldogs wanted to come in and play up-tempo, take 43s, head coach Murray Garvin told us, and instead Tigers completely took them out of their rhythm and have really controlled the tempo of this game from start to finish.
Well, I think the one thing you can hang your hat on, though, if you're Coach Murray Garvin and South Carolina State, yes, you had no exhibition games like Clemson. You dealt with a lot of adversity coming into this season, very little practice time, but his guys are continuing to play hard. And he said, look, we're using these games leading up to conference play to try to get these guys, all these new faces, acclimated with the style of play that we want.
Alamir Dawes leaves it for Lynn Kidd, but he can't slam it down. That would have been the cherry on top for what has been a terrific Clemson performance.
And it looks like Brad Brownell is going to go to his bench.
Hogue and McBride checking in for the Tigers for the final 2:20. Now this is usually where the fans would get really into it, right? A couple of walk-ons come in, Malcolm, but that is what we are missing here in this college basketball season. Happy to have the basketball, but for the fans, they too were dealing with the COVID protocols in addition to the players and coaches that are dealing with it on a daily basis around the country.
And we've asked all these coaches, coming into this season, kind of what's on your mind, and the answer is pretty universal. I think anxiety. I think all these coaches have to wait for the test to come back. And again, these players are going through all the protocols for COVID, and obviously the players, you talked about it, families are making big sacrifices in order to have a season. But that is, really what is going on right here, where you have to obviously give something up, make a sacrifice, and unfortunately that sacrifice is having the fan interaction, certainly, which is a huge part of the college experience. But nonetheless, we're happy to have ball, but certainly it's going to take some getting used to.
And the players' social lives as well. You talk about the college experience. All these kids are foregoing really what would be a normal college experience with an active social life, just so we at home can enjoy college basketball.
And both these coaches really complimented how proud they were of their team making those sacrifices. And again, we're talking about college-age kids. Jay, both me and you went through that process. It's the most wonderful 4 years for these young men, but in order to be able to play ball, they knew they had to make some sacrifices for the greater good of the team to be able to compete.
Well, it took to a minute and 20 seconds left with South Carolina State, their first three of the game. We'll be back at 30. The longest 30-second break that we've ever had. Malcolm Huckabee, Jay Alter with you. The officials got tired of waiting, so they just said play on at the foul line, and Clemson goes up 72-38. Malcolm, what impressed you most about the Tigers tonight?
Well, three areas. Defensively, that has been really impressive for Clemson. Their ability to get after you and force turnovers, as we take a look at one right there. And then the three-point shooting. I think that was a question mark coming into this season for Clemson. They shot the ball really well in the first half from beyond the arc. And then the balance. They are a very deep team, probably Brad Brownell's deepest that he's had since he's been at Clemson. They are going to be a very, very difficult team to match up against, in particular when you can throw in Amir Sims, one of the premier players in the league. Again, they're just impressive in all three of those phases for Clemson.
That three significant to some. 25 turnovers forced by this Clemson defense. And now they can just run out the clock. So South Carolina State, who kept it within 30 for the majority of this game, Clemson ends up taking it by 37, 75-38. Now, Malcolm, if Clemson fans were with us leading into halftime, we told them about two of the best super fans that the Tigers basketball program has, Franklin and Paula Grooms. We were unfortunately not able to air that story during halftime, so we want to bring it to the good people now. Take a look at what is a special relationship between the Grooms and the Tigers.
The story goes that one time they were out at the Anderson Airport. The men's basketball team was leaving to fly for a trip, and they kind of saw that there weren't that many people there, that was just kind of the players and coaches and staff getting on the plane and leaving. And for whatever reason, Mrs. Grooms didn't like that. She was really upset about that and felt like that there needed to be people there to send them off. Soon thereafter, she started coming and finding out when the team was leaving. And every game she would show up at the airport.
Nobody ever said good luck or have a safe trip or thank you for what you do or it'll be all right if you lost or we're proud of you if you win. I just felt they were children that needed some love, and we just fell in love with them. And thankfully they accepted us.
We certainly have a great fan base here at Clemson, and we see it in Littlejohn every time we play. And we have passionate people that support us in the good times and bad, but nobody supports us quite like Paul and Franklin Grooms. They really don't care about outcomes. They just care about people.
We call ourselves the adopted grandparents. They're like our little grandchildren, and we really care and love them.
Every time I see her, I know she's proud of me, whether I score a lot or I don't, or I play bad or I don't. Every time I get off the bus, I'm going to have like this smile from ear to ear, and she's smiling from ear to ear saying, oh, my dimples, and then we just have this connection that I don't think most people have with her. They definitely are family, and family isn't really tied by blood, it's tied by loyalty, and their loyalty towards our program is just outstanding, and that's something that I always remember.
What's remarkable about it is they don't just send you off, they're there now when we come back. We arrive at 1, 2 in the morning. Sometimes it's great weather, but other times it's raining. and it's late and it's cold, rain or shine, Paula Grooms is going to be there.
Our daughter says, when we left home, y'all adopted the basketball team over Clemson.
She said it's the worst case of empty nest syndrome I have ever seen.
And look at Paula Grooms there, one of the fortunate 1,500 fans able to take in the home opener at Littlejohn Coliseum. And Malcolm, that's what makes college basketball so great. The fans like Paula Grooms, that love and that connection that she has with this team.
Well, I love hearing Brad Brownell tell us that story this morning. It's really a phenomenal story, and you're absolutely right. Part of the college experience. And this is just a great fan base here at Clemson. Littlejohn, one of the great arenas in the ACC. And, you know, certainly that story right there just kind of adds to the family nature that they've created.
So Clemson ends up winning this game by 37, 75-38. You look at the turnover numbers, 24 for South Carolina State, but three-pointers at the end of the day. The Bulldogs said they wanted to come in and shoot 40 of them. They only attempted 14.
Story of this game, Clemson's defense, very tough. They are going to be a difficult team to play against in the ACC.
Tigers improved to 3-0. A big-time victory for Clemson as we say goodbye from Littlejohn Coliseum. For our entire terrific ACC Network crew, Malcolm Huckabee, I'm Jay Alter saying so long from Clemson.